that is called EE CULTURAHERIT. And we are very happy to assemble over this Zoom session with the key speaker, Mrs. Latha Ramesh, who has kindly consented to provide a few words and her thoughts about the culture and heritage, and also launch this YouTube channel on culture and heritage, and this is going to be called EE CULTURAHERIT.
We are extremely honored to have with us Mrs. Latha Ramesh on this auspicious day of Vishu. So Mrs. Latha Ramesh is a management consultant and has successfully run her own consulting organizations with clients ranging from domestic to multinational organizations. She has implemented digital educations in over 400 schools in Uganda and Kenya. She has been instrumental in launching various online sources, which is extremely essential in today's day and age, especially after the pandemic and everything, right? Online courses in this part of the world, and has been extremely instrumental in the academic staff college of University of Madras for their development programs. Latha is a life member of Computer Society of India and EWIT, and has also won the CSI Patent Award. She is currently learning Sanskrit music and is also a student of Swami Omkarananda's Atma. She is one of the founding trustees of Bharat Kala Samarpan, which is an exclusive forum to acknowledge and nurture Indian culture and heritage. We are honored to have you today to speak about our Indian culture and heritage, which is extremely great. And we as humans need to know the basic essence of it. And we are looking forward to take away a lot of things from today on this auspicious day. And we are extremely honored to have you inaugurate our Culture Heritage site. Is that welcome, ma'am?
Namaskarams to all of you. Good evening. Thank you, Agni, for a very generous introduction. And I sincerely thank the organizers of Enviable Elders for giving me this opportunity today to be part of your celebration of also launching the new TV channel. So let me first start off with launching. I learned that this platform is being launched today, being Vishu, such an auspicious day, and I'm extremely delighted to launch Enviable Elders CULTURAHERIT TV channel on YouTube. Now, all the viewers and all your friends and everybody subscribe to this channel, and there are going to be lots and lots of wonderful programs which will be of great interest to you. And I wish and pray that this platform grows to be one of the most vibrant and busy ones in days to come. So can we move on to the next slide? Next one. Thank you. So initially, when Avni came to me and said that, you need to speak about Indian culture and heritage, I said, okay, because that's something which is very close to my heart. And Namagiri is a very good friend of mine, and we talk about these things and we exchange notes. And quite often, I feel in the current scenario, it's getting harder to follow certain things because there are lots of people who no longer kind of adhere to anything. Okay. So having said that, when Avni told me that you need to talk about culture and heritage, I was thinking, who am I? I'm not a historian. I'm not a researcher. It's such a vast area. What do I really talk about? What is my take? So that's when I realized that I'm going to talk about what it means to me. When we say culture and heritage, I can think of my family heritage and what I grew up with and what was passed on to me by my parents, grandparents, in-laws, and other associates. Right from childhood, I was taught what is right from wrong. I, like most of you, I'm sure that is something which starts very early. And it is not just one or two things. There are several of them where there is a way of doing things. If there is an activity, if there is an event, this is the way we do it. There is no other way. You just cannot kind of, there is no exception. I mean, you cannot say that, I don't want to do this. I want to do it some other way. There is no exception. So that is how I learned. And I'm sure many of you, would be able to relate to what I'm saying. And I'm sure most of you would have gone through it in your own way, learning how to go about doing things. So during my childhood and school-going days, I never questioned much. But as I grew up, I did have issues conforming to the rules, at least some of the rules. And I'll share with you after some time what they were. So the very first thing I want to get started with is the beliefs, which is very unique. Not very many cultures, believe in that. So our culture, one of the things which is taught is cause and effect. I simply put it cause and effect. And, many times these days, Swamiji, the classes I attend, he always talks about, prarabdha karma. This happens because of, something what you did in the past. So when I was a child, when we were all small, the only thing parents told you is, don't ever hurt anything. If you crush a worm or if you pick up and hurt something, in the next janma, you will be born as a worm and the worm will come and, hurt you and it will be born as a human being. That's the simplest way they taught. That if you do something, you are going to experience the effect of it later. Okay, I'm not sure whether that analogy or that example is going to be easy in today's world, because today's children are very precautious and they come up and reason out, and they may even say, I believe one of my friend's child even told that I was a worm, in last birth and somebody actually hurt me, and that's why, I'm crushing the worm now, or something to that effect. So, which means like we may have to invent newer ways of convincing children about how the whole system works. Now, this was taught as children, and as we grow, we learn to accept things, we learn to be humble, we learn to realize that we are not everything, and there are all types of jivas, all types of one, and we cannot harm anything at all. Even today, I never hesitate to say sorry if I find that I am wrong. No matter who it is, my boss, my subordinate, or anybody, if I have done something without realizing, the automatic response is to say sorry. I don't see anything wrong about that. The next one is we are taught to believe in the superpower. When I use the word superpower, there is somebody above who's actually watching you, somebody above who will protect you. And, we hear about a lot of people having issues with respect to not being able to manage crisis in their life. Now, this concept of believing that there is a God above and there is going to be praying is going to help you, it definitely eases the tension. Of course, people do, laugh at me and make fun of me when I say that, we pray to make Korkatais if I pass the exam. My friends used to tease me, but in reality, that helps one realize you have done your job. The rest is, leave it for the result to come. Something like the Bhagavad Gita sloka. The action is done, and don't worry about what is the outcome of the action. So superpower, believing in God, believing in, my father in fact used to say, Iswaro Rakshatu, he will take care of everything. Now, it sounds very, very simple, but when you really grow up with that strong belief, as you face difficulties in life, as you face adversities in life, there is something to cling on to. There is something which, gives you that protection and makes you feel that you're okay, nothing is going to happen. Everything will be all right. Nobody goes through the problem, all the time. Better times will come. This too shall pass. I mean, these are many, many, many occasions I have gone through. I'm sure most of you would have gone through in your own respective lives. And coming to the family tradition, Namagiri mentioned about it, about the festivals and all that. There are so many of them. When you really look at it, every day there is something or the other. In fact, like I'm not very sure. I don't know about the rest of the world, but I think the number of festivals what we have got are much, much more than I think anybody else in the world. I can say that because the way it is, you turn around, there is a festival. And every festival, when we celebrate at home, there is a special type of food that is prepared and people come over and there are, gatherings. And there are festivals at home and there are community level festivals also, where we gather, temple festivals, Ter Tiruvira, there are so many of them. And every one of them, there is a special type of food that gets prepared, and I mean, how can we forget about, yesterday, for instance, we had the Tamil New Year's Day. Today is, you have today again, Vishu. So one of the things they prepare is that Vepambu Pachadi, which is good for health. Now, Vepambu, that flower, neem flower, is available only during this time. Likewise, for every single festival, there is a prescribed diet depending on the geographic region you come from. If you look at it, in Kerala and Konkani, they'll use a lot of coconut, and you go up north, it will be very different, the region to region. But when you look at the way it is celebrated, the way people get together, the common underlying thread, the common thread is people get together, everybody gets together. And good thing is, when people get together, it helps people unwind, they can talk to each other, unload their issues, unload their problems, and enjoy the happy moments of being together, help each other. And there's a lot of subtle counseling that happens. Namagiri mentioned about mental health. What did they do in those days? One of the things is when people, sisters and brothers, and when all of them got together, they talked about everything, good and bad, every single thing. And there were solutions. People actually said, you could do this, you could do that, and they came forward to help each other. And when they went back to continue their routine, people were rejuvenated, re-energized, and that's what happened. So even today, you would find in most of our households, festivals are celebrated, inviting so many people and feeding so many people. And there is a lot of bonding that happens. And while we are talking about people coming over, Atiti Upachara is another one which is very, very important in our culture, and which I witnessed right from childhood onwards. My grandfather, when anybody and everybody who comes home, if it happens to be a lunchtime, he would say, come over and have lunch. And he wouldn't even kind of wait to see whether there is enough lunch inside, but then he would say, please come, and the women of the household will have to turn around and then prepare something quick. It could be a simple coffee or snacks or what it is. And sometimes people came over to stay overnight and enjoy. And I've heard from my in-laws, like, Tulamasam, like the first year of that Aipasi month, to have a dip in Kaveri, people actually came from all over the places and stayed in Kumbakonam so that they could have a dip. And they stayed there not just 1 day, 2 day, about a week. And no one ever thought much about all this. People accommodated, they had a good time. Of course, in today's context, I'm not sure whether that would be possible for people to kind of go over. But even today, like, it's not very uncommon that we visit our native place, visit our villages, take part in the temple festivals, all the Tiruvira, and really, everybody getting together. In fact, now it is the trend that most of the people go back to their native place and take part and show the children what they grew up with, so that children get a taste of what it's all about. Otherwise, they grow up without even knowing what this temple festivals are and how the decoration take place and how the the columns are drawn. In Mylapore, they have a column contest. If you really see, it's amazing. It's like, it looks very, very simple when they do it, but it's such an amazing thing. So when I was bringing up my children, actually one of the occupational health person I interacted with, she was telling me it's very, very important for the children to learn to do kolam and palanguri and all these things so that their dexterity improves. If it is not there, what they do is they make them actually, keep holding the sand and, tightening, dropping. They give the exercises so that, they improve the dexterity of the hand. Now, age old times, whoever thought that, they never thought so much, they never talked so much about it, but these are all things which are just built in as part of the culture. And when we talk about food, one other thing I want to mention about is when someone is sick, people didn't just run to the doctor and take an injection. There was always a restricted diet. That's the first thing, Party Vaidyam or Kai Vaidyam, whatever they call it. They will do a Kashayam, and they will do, of late during the COVID times, people were actually prescribing, so many of them in WhatsApp, put turmeric, put this, put that, and then, take this, that will help you. And, it will cure your cough and cure your cold. And I'm telling you, we've all experienced that. We have grown up with people being able to tell us what is the remedy for simple things. You don't need to run to a doctor. In a couple of days, 3 days, 4 days, it will go off. And normally the lighter side, they used to say that if you take medicine, the cold will go in 7 days. If you don't take medicine, it will go in 7 days. I mean, that is how it is. So from the food point of view, there was food which was, the feast onwards to the restricted diet. Our people were masters at it. Next slide. And one other thing I recall is during childhood, when I grew up, every household, wherever there are kids, wherever there are growing up children, even adults, music was part of it. Whether somebody is interested or not, there will be a music teacher who will come and they'll sign up for the music class. And every day after school, when you pass by the houses, you will find high-pitched singing by little children. And that was the common thing you could hear. And it helps one relieve stress. In the Computer Society, we keep organizing, a lot of these programs. And one such program was how music helps in healing. Okay, one of the things, this Dr. Preetika Chari, who is a famous neurologist, neurosurgeon, she was there. And one interesting thing she mentioned is when she does a brain surgery, she used to play the Gayatri mantra at the background, and she found in her experience patients were at ease, they relaxed. So music, any music has that therapeutic value, and dance, people of course enjoy. And what happened is, it's not just people learned music and then dance, they also had opportunities to get together and sing, because come Navaratri, every day people visited their friends' houses and then tested their, talent in music and music and dance, of course. Kummi, Kolatam, all this was very, very common. Like in the courtyard, people will come and dance. Little girls will come and dance during Navaratri. This was a common sight when I grew up. And other thing is the Katha Kalakshepam. Katha Kalakshepam, Harikatha Kalakshepam is another one. These days, of course, we do it in the confined rooms, halls. But earlier on, it was in the, front yard of somebody's house, and people actually kind of sat in their respective houses, came out, and sometimes even the roads will be blocked and people will be kind of seated there, and it will go on till midnight. And wonderful programs where all the good things and the positive things are narrated through nice stories, all the Puranic Itihasa stories, and they were told, and it was wonderful to grow up with. And dance drama is another one. Dance drama and all types of dances we could watch, and people also performed. And we had unique games and sport, which are, I'm not talking about the Western thing like the tennis and the swimming and whatnot. I'm talking about the local ones like the kabaddi and, palanguri, and, there were so many of these games people actually played. In fact, these days, it's very, very rare to see children go out of their houses and play. It was a very common sight. People stepped out to neighbor's house or out in some open space and got together and played their games. And that was a very common sight, and nobody objected to, and they didn't have to have all the equipment. Today, of course, you find it occasionally in some maidans, children playing, but over time, I'm not sure with the concrete jungle, I'm not sure whether people will have any more space. And another distinct thing I want to say, which is good about our, the culture or whatever you may call it, is the rote memory. Okay, a lot of these things, right from younger age, children were taught to memorize, especially mathematic tables. We had to memorize. We needed to know, the tables needed to be memorized and recited upside down. And similarly, slokas. Nobody ever referred to any notebook. The slokas, it is always kind of taught to you orally and you repeat. It's a similar thing with music also. When you learn music, you can refer to the notebook, but over time, all the swaras and everything what you sing, you need to kind of get it from your memory. And rote memory was given so much importance. And like over time, what happened is this went down. In fact, when my children were studying in school, the teachers used to say, why are you insisting? I used to ask them, there is something called mental math, and that's about it. They used to, in fact, tell me that do not really kind of force them, because these days they are not really going to use it much. They can always refer. And what I find is that rote memory helped me significantly to, you train your brain to remember. Now it is coming back. People are saying that helps, and like how to remember 100 words, how to remember 1,000 words. All this training is gaining importance today. Where am I on time? Do I have some more time? Correct me, Avni?
Yes, definitely. We can go ahead.
How many more minutes?
You can take your time. No issues.
Okay.
You are our guest.
Okay, thank you.
As you mentioned.
Okay, thank you. And then there are values. When I talk about values, I am sure in every culture they would have their own respective, what they consider as values. But in my, see, which is what we are seeing, you know, we had this peculiar thing in most of our households. Hygiene was such an important thing. Like when you step in from outside, it is necessary that you leave your chappals outside, wash your feet, and especially when we came back from school, we had to go take a shower and change our clothes, and that was mandatory. Now, after Corona, we are talking so much about the cleanliness, so much about, you know, cleaning our hands, and that is resurfacing. And people are all coming back, say, I told you, you know, today you need to do that. And the importance of using, you know, I mean, while you're talking about that, I also want to say that this haldi, you know, turmeric powder. A few years ago, one of my doctor friends actually, you know, he came from abroad and he gave me a bottle of capsules. He said, I didn't know what to get for you. This is something I just got, and this is very helpful. You can take one capsule a day. It will help you tremendously for general health. Now, I just looked at the contents. I looked at it. It was curcumin. Basically, it is nothing other than, you know, our turmeric, and it is nicely in the capsule form. And it was quite an expensive medicine. I mean, it's not a medicine; it's actually a health capsule. So I was just thinking, without all those capsules, I mean, in any typical Indian household, using haldi is such a common thing. You know, ginger and, you know, turmeric or something which is very commonly used. Yeah, sorry, I digressed. So hygiene, and then, you know, we use, you know, like this turmeric even for cleaning up certain times. And I need to also say, while we were encouraged to speak up, we were, you know, one of the things is the tongue control. We were taught and how to speak and what not to say, and respect for elders. And these were some of the things which were not, you know, tolerated if one violated upon. And today, when I see youngsters using a language which is not acceptable, and whether it is in movies or any one of them, I sometimes feel, I think, you know, somewhere we are missing that out. It becomes very, very important for people to get back to the proper, you know, language, and you know, exercising some amount of control over the tongue. You know, arguments were okay, but anything more than that was not accepted. And while I talk about language, we took pride in teaching or, you know, learning our language. Mother tongue was insisted upon. All of us needed to learn the mother tongue, you know, speak, read, write. And in addition to that, we all went through Sanskrit learning, because Sanskrit helps. And I see that today, after so many years, I've just kind of recently signed up for Sanskrit class. I'm thoroughly enjoying. I realize there is so much material that is available, and we're not even kind of, I don't know whether I'll be able to even kind of, you know, read or even scratch the surface in the rest of my life, you know, whatever are the minute time I have got. So it is very interesting. It is very interesting. There is so much. And what has happened is we have completely missed them out. We have totally missed them out, and we have gone on to a different type of education. And it is important for us to at least understand what is there, you know, in our own country. So, and today everybody is talking about minimalistic living, and that is the buzzword. And people say so many things about, you know, like don't try to use more than what you need. And I think back then, we were taught that one. Why do you need so many clothes? Why do you need so many of them? My parents, I have never seen them acquire more and more and more of either clothing or jewelry or whatever it is. They always kind of insisted that, you know, they gave us plenty, but when it came to their own thing, they denied themselves. You know, they never kind of acquired, you know, what acquired more than what they really needed. And today we talk about minimalistic living, and that was very much practiced by the elders. We need to really learn some of these things, some of the practices, and reuse. We're talking about reuse. In fact, most of the households will have all these, the ropes and the threads and whatnot, so that, it will come in handy. Why throw that? We can use it. All the pins and whatnot. Every single thing they can save up to the extent where there will be a lot of junk, but they were not really throwing things away and wasting things so that it goes into trash. And that was the kind of life I was exposed to. Now comes the next part, and I grow up, and you may ask me, do you mean to say that, you didn't really kind of have any difficulty in conforming to whatever was told to you? I did have. I mean, it's not as though it was very, very simple. As kids, usually we oppose. I also opposed. I still remember when I was in college, I was going back from hostel, and it is a long 3-hour drive. I come back by bus and I come home. I said, I'm so thirsty, I'm hungry, I just want to eat. My mother said, forget it, it is solar eclipse. You're not supposed to eat anything. I was so angry, so mad, and I said, I'm going to go ahead and have water. Let anything happen to me. I'm not bothered. My mother was upset, but I went ahead and had water, and later on I felt very bad. I probably should have kind of waited. And yeah, I guess, that's something I can recollect. Similarly, there were times, there was a job offer and I was to join on a Monday morning, 8 o'clock. And my father specifically told me, listen, don't go on during Ragu Kalam. I told him, the young age, at that age, I told him, listen, I cannot possibly do that. And I have to go, I have to report. And I spoke to my boss and he told me, no, usually we start at this time. I said, okay, I will go join. And I went ahead and joined. Now, the thing is, there are certain things we do knowing fully well, it may or may not be correct, but sometimes we have to go ahead and do it. Like if there is a war that is declared, my father-in-law always used to say that if there is a war and I can't be seeing Ragu Kalam, I will have to just, get up and go fight. And that's how it is. I understand. Similarly, like, this Karadayan Nombu, which was there, a month ago, it invariably comes at odd times. Last time I think it was some 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Sometimes, it is 12 in the afternoon. Now imagine when if there is work, there is no way you can get away and then come home and celebrate it and go back. If it is possible, one takes a day off. Otherwise, these are some of the things because of work pressure, we will have to not really observe. And especially when it comes to traveling outside, oftentimes the difficulty used to be getting food, if there is, especially when you go on work, there used to be a first time I struggled, and then onwards I started carrying some biscuits and something else, so that if it happens to be a day where I needed to fast, I wouldn't really go out and eat anything and everything. So I have managed and no regrets. And today I understand, the more I listen to all the elders, the more I listen to Swamiji's talks, there is a lot of hope. There is a lot of hope today for the younger generation to learn, because there is technology, there is medium. They don't need to necessarily learn only from one source like we did. Whereas, like this EE CULTURAHERIT TV channel is going to provide a lot more inputs. And there are more and more of this which is going to be available. I'm sure the coming generations There is going to be a total turnaround. There will be a renaissance. There will be a revival of culture and heritage, what we were brought up with. There could be changes. There could be differences. It could be in a new flavor. Like, for instance, my daughter tells me, when I try to tell stories to my grandson, he's just 5 years old, she tells me, Ma, you can't really say anything about Killing. Okay, she spells it out. The thing is, most of our Puranic stories, there is always killing, good over the evil. So I'm not very sure. I will have to reinvent. I will have to find out how I'm going to, modify these stories, and how I'm going to kind of give these inputs to the younger generation. I'm sure with all your support, we'll be able to make a change. Thank you so much. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I enjoyed.
Ask you to kindly inaugurate our new channel today, the CULTURAHERIT. So please do the honors now.
Yes.
ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ವಿನೂತ. ನಾನು ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಐಸಿರಿಯ ಮಡಿಲಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರುವ ಮಗಳು. ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದ ಐತಿಹಾಸಿಕ ಪರಂಪರೆ, ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತಿ, ಕಲೆ, ಸಿರಿವಂತಿಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಪುರಾತನವಾದದ್ದು ಹಾಗೂ ವಿಶ್ವಪ್ರಸಿದ್ಧವಾದದ್ದು. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲಾ ವೈಶಿಷ್ಟ್ಯಗಳನ್ನು ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಲುಪಿಸಲು ಇಚ್ಛಿಸುವ ಎನ್ವಯಬಲ್ ಎಲ್ಡರ್ಸ್ ಕಲ್ಚರ್ ಆರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಹೆರಿಟೇಜ್ ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಗೆ ಮತ್ತು ಅವರ ತಂಡದವರಿಗೆ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಹಾರ್ದಿಕ ಶುಭಾಶಯಗಳು. ಈ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯು ಹಿರಿಯ ನಾಗರಿಕರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡುವ ಸೇವೆ ಶ್ಲಾಘನೀಯ. ಇವರ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಗಳು ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯಲಿ ಎಂದು ಕೋರುತ್ತೇವೆ. ಸಿರಿಗನ್ನಡಂ ಗೆಲ್ಗೆ, ಸಿರಿಗನ್ನಡಂ ಬಾಳ್ಗೆ.